with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FANation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. It is Black Friday here over at Fantasy Alarm. We got 7 games to talk about here on the NBA DFS main slate. Your guy Grande was on the playbook for today. We did the preview show this morning. We are waiting on an abundance of injury news here today to come through and give us an idea of what we're going to be doing with our lineup construction for today. James, we talked obviously waiting on the Brooklyn Nets news. We got some Portland news through here as well. Some guys that we like maybe now not gonna play. Scoot Henderson notably here. How you feeling about things, man?
It's a fun slate overall. Emirates NBA Cup. A lot of seeding will go down tonight. The NBA's posted on their Twitter like all the scenarios of who needs to win, who needs to lose. If someone wins, people are eliminated. So it should be a fun night of basketball.
Should be a fun night of basketball. Again, it is Black Friday here over at Fantasy Farm. We got our Black Friday deal still going on here. It was Black Friday week, so you've seen us promoting this here. $100 off the annual All-Pro subscription. That's promo code BF24. That comes out to less than $16 a month. That gets you access to everything we have on site, including James's NBA DFS playbook for tonight, our DFS projections, our DFS lineup generator. You get into our premium Discord where you can talk to myself, Grande, Justin Carlucci, Keith Eister as well in there to help you guys set your lineups for tonight. And all sports, Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper in there for the NFL. Baseball is right around the corner. The MLB draft guide is included in the All-Pro subscription. So all this you get for the next year through next Black Friday, which means we probably will have another deal going on that you guys can take advantage of. Our monthly subscriptions like $39.97. So for a year right now, you can knock that down to less than $16 a month. FantasyAlarm.com/Black Friday. Scan that QR code on the screen or go to FantasyAlarm.com/Black Friday. Enter promo code BF24. James, let's get into it here. Talking basketball, point guard position. SGA is 10-7. There's only a few guys over 10K on the slate. Jason Tatum, Anthony Davis, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Where does SGA rank for you among the top spend-ups? And then the point guard tier, 9K and above, includes Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, and James Harden.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander ranks right at the top. There are only 2 or 3 guys over 10K, so I would probably have AD number 1, but if you want SGA number 1, he has the better matchup between the 2 guys. In terms of point guards, I mean, if you want to get to SGA, it's an elite play. Anytime he has scored lately, which he's doing a lot of, and I think they've needed it with the absence of Chet, 32 plus points in 4 of his last 5. All 4 of those, he's gone for 54 plus fantasy points. And we remember the career high 45, he almost went for an 80 bomb. So really good spot for SGA. Not my favorite point guard of the day, at least in terms of spend up. De'Aaron Fox is that for me. I think De'Aaron Fox is arguably the best spend up of the day. Haven't really wavered off of De'Aaron Fox. When, just you look at the baseline of the Kings, De'Aaron Fox is a 31% usage rate. When you remove DeMar DeRozan, he has a team-leading 6% usage bump, and he has a 37% usage rate, which obviously leads the team. And then at also 1.45 fantasy points per minute also leads the team. So the Kings need a miracle to advance in the cup, but regardless of if they need a miracle or not, it does count as a regular season game, and the Kings just play their starters big minutes. I mean, you look at the minutes for De'Aaron Fox. 38, 40, 38, 43, 39 over his last 5 games. He's not coming off the floor. He's going to lead them in usage. He's going to lead them in shot attempts. He's been pretty consistent with peripheral stats as well. And obviously we saw the scoring ceiling as well. So De'Aaron Fox, for me, is my top overall play of the day at 9,200, point guard or other position.
Was the cover of our preview show this morning. So, we are continuing to be high on him. Jeff P's in the chat saying, howdy. Richard Payton popping in saying, what's up, bro? Wants to know how many pieces from the early games we should consider. We'll talk about the roster construction here. Rolly mentioning Jacoby Walters still at min price. Yeah, we discussed the pricing here on the preview show. They didn't really change much in Some guys, they actually decreased. Powers with you on Fox, big Fox guy with us here tonight. And then Mateo popping in. Mateo says, it's Julius Randle's birthday. We got a birthday narrative here on the slate. So we'll talk Randle when we get to the power forward game. Power mentioning Boston, Chicago, 244 and a half, 242 and a half total, somewhere in that range. So we'll definitely talk Boston, Chicago here as well. You sent a tweet out today about Scottie Barnes, a guy who just went 7 for 23 from the floor in that last game, but still gave you 12 rebounds, 7 assists to go with the 17 actual. As we see often on this show, if my guy just hit more shots, we'd have a big day. Could he hit more shots tonight against Miami?
And if they aren't involved in a random blowout. I mean, I know the Pelicans were shorthanded, but Toronto's shorthanded. It's Scottie Barnes and friends. I know, no disrespect to Pirtle and Barrett, but like they both had 4 wins going into that game. So it's not like the Pelicans shouldn't have remained competitive. We're talking about an extra 5 minutes that Barnes probably missed out on there. So yeah, I mean, no one's going to play him again. He's, been middling ownership wise all day long. And he's had a 35 and a 36% usage rate in each of the last 2 games. He's dominated on the glass. He's leading them in assists and potentials there. Like you just said, he just simply needs to make more shots. He took 12 threes. If Scottie Barnes is going to be that volume 3-point shooter, when he goes on one of those heaters and he goes 6 for 12, he's going to go for 70 fantasy points because he's live for a triple-double nightly. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's me being stubborn. Maybe it's not. It's obviously a tougher spot. But like when you get someone who is consistently giving you 35% usage or better, that's just someone I want in my lineup. We've talked about this all year long. Like sometimes matchup dependent, sure. Sometimes it's not. Like I'm surprised him and Tyrese Halliburton in terms of ownership are so similar because I figured Halliburton at home with the way he's played would be like significantly higher. And I don't know if there's been an update since the last time I looked, but they were basically on the same ownership path. And, I think Halliburton's a great play if you feel more comfortable going there. But ultimately, like I'm still leaning Scottie Barnes because Halliburton, even in this stretch, I mean, he had a 27% usage rate last game. I'm not going to crap on that at all. That's great. That's not 36. Right. It's not 35. And you look at the 2 rosters, there's definitely more paths of floor for Halliburton than there is Scottie Barnes on a night-to-night basis with how good Indiana is. So I love Scottie Barnes again. Again, maybe I'm stubborn, maybe I'm not, but I'm going right back to the well there.
No, listen, I'm right there with you here. Just did an update. Again, we'll get the updated ownership over on FANation Time after the show today. Scottie Barnes now under 10%, Halliburton trending up towards 14%. So it's getting even better for you on your Scottie Barnes love. Again, Halliburton's fine if you want to go there. I know we like James Harden as well, $9,200. He's been ridiculous. Could get Norman Powell back for him there today. We did talk about Cade Cunningham. What are your thoughts? This guy had double-doubles in 8 of the last 10 games that he played. He had a triple-double mixed in there. Only missed a couple of games. I don't think there'd be any sort of minutes restriction here on Cade Cunningham. Again, more expensive. And you mentioned Fox as your top guy. Where would Cade rank for you among the guards tonight?
I mean, he's definitely in play. We're talking about a 30% usage guy, a lot of fantasy points per minute, and obviously like triple-double threat out of the clouds, really. So as long as there is no limit, then Cade should and will be in our player pool. It just, at the end of the day, it just is dependent on if there is a limit and we're like told like 31, 32 minutes. I just don't think that there's like a path to getting there over someone like Fox or over Harden or over Barnes or over Halliburton. So if there's no limit, I think the extra 4 to 5 minutes that Cade usually plays matters, but it is a great spot. Indiana right outside the top 10 in pace, and that's trending upwards. They were much lower on the list, but now 11th in the league. And plus they're 23rd in defensive rating. So it's a good spot for for Cade Cunningham, rather, if you're, if he's not limited at all.
Yeah, fully ascending to the player we all thought Cade Cunningham could be when healthy, averaging, the double-double, near triple-double on the year. Albert popping in saying hello. Coach Chris saying hello as well. We appreciate all of you guys spending your Black Friday evenings with us here as we head into the weekend. Going down to the mid-tier, 6K range, we got a couple of the Boston, Chicago guys. Kobe White is considered questionable for tonight, so something to watch there. We have Derek White at $6,800. I'll say the projection props today for Derek White are a little interesting. It's very clear that the Kristaps Porzingis effect is in there. Derek White at 15.5 point prop today. That's something that, this guy has been clearing in his sleep all season long, and yet now it's 15.5. I thought I was tempted to take the over. Still might. There's still time for me to do that in this 240 game total. Suggs popped off. You got Giddy if there's no Kobe White there. Now you have the Portland guys as well with Scoot Henderson questionable, Shaedon Sharpe, and Anthony Simons.
Yeah, Kobe White went through shoot around, so I expect him to play. And Lonzo's in, so completely wipe Giddy from our minds. He's dead to us. We don't need to worry about him. He's going to play 23 minutes, and if you play him, you're going to be sad. That's basically how it goes with Josh Giddey when everyone's healthy. Honestly, like, this tier for me is very simple, in my opinion, because I think there's a clear play. There's three guys in the next range that are all point guard, shooting guard, that all I would just prefer over all the guys you just mentioned.
Okay.
Sharpe, Simons, Monk. That is where I think a lot of my attention goes to. Portland, even if the recent downgrades to Scoot and Delano Banton, and they both play, Shaedon Sharpe and Anthony Simons are playing near 40 minutes, right? Shaedon Sharpe played 37 minutes and 36 minutes in their two competitive games. Anthony Simons, 38 minutes and 37 minutes, and in both those games took 20 shots. Those would be the two preferences in the 6K range. And you bring up the Kobe White injury plus, basically fully healthy Bulls team. You can get there in tournaments. Derek White, tournaments only. That's largely how I feel about Boston in general. With KP back, it's just same. It's a good problem to have in real life. It's not a great problem to have in fantasy when night to night they could have 4-game week and 4 different 30-point scores, right?
Yeah.
You just don't know. So you play Derek White in a tournament. Jalen Suggs, I have no idea what to make of Brooklyn tonight because we just don't have a clue who's playing. I mean, I posted earlier, they should add a few more players on the injury report. Brooklyn should just put their whole team on the injury report just to really create confusion, right? Just put every single player questionable, just list them all. I mean, they're basically there, so why not just keep going?
At least we'll know by roster lock.
We will. But Jalen Suggs has a ceiling. Will he play the necessary minutes to get there? Maybe, maybe not.
You got 32 minutes in the blowout over Chicago. It's kind of my, thinking there.
Yeah, and 32 minutes is great when he's 10 for 18 from the floor. But it's also do you get 10 for 18 from the floor in those 32 minutes? He's shooting 41% from the floor this year. So it's a tough spot to be in, but you could play him in tournaments because obviously he has a massive ceiling. But would I play Suggs over the Portland guys? Probably not. Would I play him over Malik Monk? Definitely not. I think Malik Monk, I loved him last slate. He was great. 35 minutes right off the ankle sprain, 27, 9, and 8. And I'm not sitting here expecting Malik Monk to go 27, 9, and 8 on a nightly basis. But without DeMar DeRozan and Jay Crowder in the starting lineup and another Sacramento King that's randomly getting a boatload of ownership because he played a bunch of minutes, they just Keegan Murray's been bad. They basically axed Kevin Huerter from the rotation, and Keon Ellis is really just on the floor for defense. This team is going to revolve around 3 guys, and Monk is one of them. So at 5,400 against Portland, who's, middling defense, pretty good team in terms of pace, I would have a hard time playing most of those 6K guys over Monk tonight as well.
Coach Chris wants to know, are we doing Ben Simmons things this evening?
Man, he is a clown. You see him do that little the little thing where it's like, dude, you airball the layup like the game prior.
An NBA player should never brick a layup as bad as that man bricked the layup, but he did. So
and then commented on someone else doing it. I don't understand. Like sure, you know, like we're gonna get mid-20s minutes. We don't know like who's in, who's out. If Claxton's in, that gives us a little less leeway, I think, on the minutes, because then, you know, we're going to take away some defensive five Simmons.
So do you think that they're just not? I mean, I know he's only point guard listed here, but like, would they just play him full on point guard minutes tonight?
I mean, they don't have to. Like they can play him point guard offensively, and he's still going to play. Like if Claxton's out, he'll still guard
defensive five.
Yeah, he'll play like point center. I mean, it just depends. Like if they go, like they don't have Sure, they don't have Thomas. We don't know about Cam J. We don't know about Claxton. We don't know Finney Smith. That's literally their entire starting five. In and out Simmons and Claxton, right? So their whole starting five plus Simmons. Only one of those guys is not on the injury report. I'm okay with it. I'm just, you know, for $100 more, I'm going to get 8 to 9 to 10 more minutes of Malik Monk, like almost guaranteed, because they won't extend Simmons. So yeah, if we start getting news and all these guys are out for Brooklyn, sure, it's objectively a tough spot. I would probably rather in that if like a lot of guys are out in Brooklyn, I've kind of like came to the conclusion, if all these guys are out for Brooklyn, I'd feel most comfortable playing the cheapest of them, because the return we don't need a lot of. We don't expect much to begin with going up against Orlando, right? Like Orlando is a second-rated defensive team in basketball. And like if it's Tyrese Martin and Shake Milton and Simmons and like Zaire Williams, I'd probably rather get to those cheaper names than like Zaire, because I'm not as confident as Zaire returning value than I would be just needing 15 plus from Shake versus 25 plus from Zaire. So I'm a little indifferent about Simmons tonight. Obviously, he has a ceiling. We just saw it. And obviously, you know, they could just be incredibly shorthanded, and Ben Simmons running the charge there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Where are we going with value tier? We obviously talked some of these plays. I was pretty high on Scoot Henderson before the questionable. You can build your lineups and kind of build it around to whether or not he does or doesn't play. He had a 25% usage rate on the floor without Jeremy Grant. The assist numbers the last 3 games that he's been active for have been very encouraging. Great matchup against Sacramento. It would have been for him. He played 35 minutes, highest of the season, right out of the gate in his return. There's a lot to like about Scoot Henderson tonight. We'll have to wait and see as to whether or not he actually plays. Pritchard and McConnell's down here. Mike Conley's been getting a lot of minutes now, all of a sudden. What do we think when it comes to value point guard tonight?
Yeah, I think Scoot's a great play if he plays. When you look at the last game, he definitely benefited from Toumani Camara in the first half. Camara was in big foul trouble, played like a minute of the second quarter. Scoot played all of it. But he did play like all of the run in the second half. And that's, you know, Camara was not in any foul trouble in the second half. So like I can use, you know, the argument of Scoot, well, Scoot's not going to be extended. Well, he kind of was extended in the second half. And I think that's probably dependent on how well he's playing. Because, you know, Kamara is going to guard De'Aaron Fox. Like, they're going to put Toumani Camara on De'Aaron Fox. Who knows if he's going to stay out of foul trouble or not, but that's going to be what they're going to do. And if he can't, then Scoot's going to get extended, and Scoot's going to smash at 4,900. So I definitely think he's in play. Not so much on Pritchard, but he's always in on, you know, you can always play him in a tournament.
Yeah.
Conley, 4,600, I think is safe, especially if we're going to get 30-plus minutes out of Mike Conley. I wasn't sure that was what we were going to get after, 37-30 injury immediately. And then 32 right back. And I think that kind of speaks to the Anthony Edwards comment, like they need Conley on the floor to provide something for them, like veteran.
Like the steals we're getting out of him lately. 2, 2,
Yeah.
5, 2, 3. Like that's pretty good. Helps keep the floor palatable at his price point for sure. And then we have obviously the cheap guys that are down here. Shake Milton, if he ends up being in the starting lineup, could certainly draw some ownership attention here today. Anybody else that you would play?
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell, 4,400, has been really good the last 2 games off the Lakers bench. There was, when you look at the Lakers rotation last game, they moved Connect back into the starting lineup, obviously, and he was great. But D'Lo was in the closing lineup over Rui Hachimura, and I think that is probably, if D'Lo plays well, going to be the case most nights, because they don't need a power forward. They have LeBron. Like you could just play 6'9", 270 LeBron at that spot, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, Connect plays for 3, and you move
on.
On.
Yeah, and Reeves was playing off the ball last year, right? So if D'Angelo keeps making shots, he's gonna close. I mean, he lost about 3 minutes last game in the Spurs contest due to blowout, and he was on the floor in that lineup. So 4,400 D'Angelo this game. OKC's really good defensively, obviously, but they play fast. The Lakers have a big pace up spot here because the Lakers haven't necessarily been playing fast this year, and it's the second biggest implied total on the board. So I obviously like. It's harder to get to some of the Lakers outside of LeBron and outside of, it was at least, before they implemented Connect back in the starting lineup. And now D'Lo, playing in that second unit basically with, when he comes in the game, he checks in for, like, in that shift with LeBron, or checks in for LeBron, and then it's him and AD. And you and I were talking about this last year. Him and AD have a really nice rapport together. So closes that first quarter with AD, plays into the second quarter. So yeah, I like D'Angelo quite a bit in tournaments.
Shooting guard position, again, some guys we've discussed already. Anthony Edwards, 93, Jaylen Brown, 8K, Tyler Hero, Zach LaVine, your top 4 here. Earlier in the day, Jaylen Brown was getting some ownership love. He still kind of is, sitting around 20%. We talk about this Boston team, and you just don't know which one is going to do something here. But it is a 240 total, so somebody has to kind of go off and have a big day. Are you in on Jaylen Brown at 8K, or is there a different Celtic you'd rather throw a dart at?
I wrote in the playbook, I wrote only Jason Tatum up.
Okay.
Not that I don't like, I mean, I understand like the ramifications of this game. I was talking smack to you earlier today that the Bulls were first in the group. That was the only time that was ever going to happen. So I had to take my shot before we lose by 40 tonight.
And the Celtics need to win big now with Atlanta winning.
Yeah, Atlanta. Yeah, if Atlanta wins the group, if the Bulls lose, I think Atlanta wins the group. I think I saw unless the Celtics win by like.
So the Celtics, 70. So Atlanta wins the group. The Celtics can only get in the wild card, and that's the point differential. So they need to win and like win by 30 essentially to have a chance. And they won't even know what the points are until next week because the final in-season rounds don't end till next Tuesday.
Sure.
So the Celtics need to go out there and win by multiple doubles of digits,
and then pray.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm never against playing Jaylen Brown ever. He has a very high ceiling. Just like, so yeah, I mean, 8K is a solid price. It's the cheapest it's been in a little bit. He's only been under this price once this year. So I have no problem getting there. If you think the Bulls can be competitive in a 240 total, obviously Zach LaVine has your highest scoring ceiling for them. $7,800 can light the rim, light the nets on fire. If you want to go there, I think that's perfectly fine. Just another spot where like all kind of tournament-y plays, and it's a position I've looked. Ben Mathurin, the Portland guys we've already talked about, Monk we've already talked about, and then I'm just kind of assuming
going back to these guys, right?
And then assuming like Connect is starting, obviously, and assuming Jacoby Walter's starting again. So like it just has been a day for me where I'm just looking cheaper than the top tier.
Yeah, Walter's still down here at 3K. What are we doing with Martin?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Because
if he starts, would you play him over Walter, or would you play Walter?
I mean, I don't think Tyrese Martin, who was not in the NBA last year, is going to go 10 for 13 and 8 for 10 again. Jacoby Walter was super elite, like on the glass as well, which I found crazy. Who would I rather play? I'd probably just play them both.
True.
But
Martin might have a path to more shots. Obviously, Jacoby Walter playing with Barrett and Barnes there.
If let's just like play that hypothetical out, and the Nets are starting Martin, that means Cam Johnson's out probably. That means, I mean, who knows? But like likely scenario is that the Brooklyn's down like all their top guys. Is Tyrese Martin legitimately the guy that they stick Suggs on? Is there like any individual matchup that they even cared to like? Because Suggs is not going to guard Ben Simmons. Like that's just it's an awkward matchup.
Go guard Shake Milton.
Yeah. I mean like is that really what you want Jalen Suggs doing? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But like seeing what Tyrese Martin did last game leads me to believe there could be Jalen Suggs defense in his future if he's starting. So
yeah.
Like I really wish I had a better answer for Brooklyn. I don't. Because it's just so undecided on who's playing and who's not. Because it's not even like Schroeder's out. So if Simmons was out, this would be easier. Like Shake would be starting or Keon Johnson would be starting. But Simmons is gonna play point forward or point center, and that's annoying. So yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, probably if Tyrese Martin is starting, probably him, but still like don't love it. Still don't love it.
Small forward. Again, JT is up here at 10, Wagner at 96, Barnes and Barrett 85, 83, JB 8K, Butler 8K.
Yeah, I mean, so I Tatum is obviously like, if they're gonna win this game by 1 million, they're gonna win this game by 1 million, and Tatum's gonna obviously play a huge part. So, whether Porzingis is back or not, and whether he's playing 26, 27, 28 minutes or not. I think like there's still like 12-minute upside without him or 15-minute upside without him where it's just Tatum, because we know how Brown and Porzingis operate together. So I think Tatum is great. No one's going to go back to Franz at 9,600. It's a weird spot because this could be a blowout. Orlando just needs to win to advance in the in-season tournament, so they don't have like any incentive to really extend everybody. If they get out big and they're winning, they will just play like normal blowout scenarios, because again, they win, they advance because they haven't lost yet. So nobody will go back to Franz if Brooklyn can keep that close. Franz obviously has a ceiling. Talked about Scottie, he's great. RJ, coming off a massive game. Still probably a little too expensive for me. We talked JB. So, yeah, I mean, it's an interesting tier that, Scottie's my favorite guy in, but you could definitely get to some Tatum and Franz if you want.
All right, mid-tier guys then. Again, you mentioned some of these already. A lot of dual positional eligibility here on this slate. Is there one that sticks out to you, in the 6 or 5K range?
Like, obviously, Denny is going to be the premier play here. $5,300, gonna start, gonna play massive minutes. He's been great fantasy wise. Shooting the basketball, he's been great. Peripheral stats have been great. This is kind of every time we've ever saw him before get extended, other than the start of this year. This is usually what he did in Washington. It was very inconsistent with the playing time. But 5,300 is too cheap. He'll be super popular. That would be the guy I would suggest. I'm not like giving up hope on Cam Johnson. If he plays, I think it's like a sneaky play. He'll be one of a handful of like able scorers for Brooklyn. And I feel like if they were to keep it more competitive, it would be because of Cam Johnson making shots. Did a lot more last game without Cam Thomas, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and Claxton as well. So I don't hate like the Cam Johnson in tournaments play if he suits up. But in this tier, it's Denny Avdia, Matherin. You could obviously play. He's super good. Anytime he has 5 20-point double doubles this year, Ben Matherin, and he didn't even start the year in the starting lineup. Indiana's interesting in general. They're just playing their starters massive minutes. I mean, Matherin 39, 38, 40 minutes the last 3 games. Carlisle's kind of forced to play these guys because his team is 3 of his normal rotation pieces are out, 4 rather, if you just consider Isaiah Jackson. So, Matherin, Cam Johnson, Denny Avdia would probably be the place for me.
Okay. Zaire Williams is here without a questionable tag, so good shot that he is in the lineup at 49. You mentioned Dalton Connect earlier. We'll see if Jaylen Wilson is in. Obviously, if Brooklyn guys are healthy, some of those guys we'd be more than interested in playing with no Thomas and Schroeder here today.
Yeah, just sure. But I just don't like I can't like I.
We'll know though. We'll know
we will know
before. So I'm sure you'll have your playbook updated once we
Correct.
get that information out there. Quentin Jackson. You played a lot of minutes. 4K was getting some ownership love earlier today.
Yeah, he's solid. 32 minutes, good defender, has been good peripherally. And, when he first started, the minutes weren't this consistent. And now 32 in back-to-back games. If he doesn't play well, there's always the lurking TJ McConnell.
Yeah.
That can get extended. But doesn't seem like a great McConnell spot when Detroit's guards are like 6'7" and 6'6". Like Ivy and Cade are huge guards.
Great. Do you have any Crowder interest? 27 minutes out the get.
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
No.
Power forward we go then. JT again up at the top. We got LeBron at 99. Jalen Williams, $9,200. Jalen Williams on pace for a monster game had he not gone down after 16 minutes. 37 fantasy points in 16 minutes against the Warriors. Where does he rank among your top overall power forwards today?
I would say as good as anyone, 9K and up per dollar.
On the slate overall or at the position?
At the position, at power forward. I mean, you look at some of the numbers without Chet, 29% usage, 1.5 fantasy points per minute. He's like 0.2 behind Shea in terms of fantasy points per minute. Shea has him in usage by like 5%. That's a pretty substantial mark. But in terms of fantasy points per minute, Jalen Williams is super elite at doing everything, which, has kind of been why I've always thought he was less disposable than Chet if they were ever to like break up that trio and like try to make a splash for someone already like more established. And I don't think they should, but that was obviously a talk last year and a talk going into this year as well. But 29% usage, 1.5 fantasy points per minute for J-Dub with Chet off the floor this year. And the Lakers are just bad defensively, 26th. Yeah. So this is a great game environment, great spot for J-Dub if you can't get up to Shea, because you're playing De'Aaron Fox, or you just prefer the price discount to Fox, or you can't get up to Shea because he's 10-7. Then I think J-Dub is a perfectly fine second OKC option. And on some nights he's been the better fantasy player. Right. I mean, ultimately.
He was definitely on pace to be at that night. Julius Randle birthday narrative, something you're buying into here?
Yeah, big narrative guy. I am.
I know you're a big narrative guy.
Yeah, no. I'm happy birthday, Julius. Happy birthday. Okay. Sorry, I'm not. I'll be the fun police. I don't care. I'm not. That's not a narrative I like.
Siakam, $7,200. Good price.
Yeah, good price, and again another like hey, the minutes are great. Another Indiana Pacer that's just getting massive minutes because their depth is depleted. It's a price. It's a price and matchup thing. It's great on both fronts.
A lot of injuries, questionable plays here. Anybody that you would be looking to play as we hit down 5K below?
Not my favorite tier overall. I would say the next name that I'm personally interested in would be John Isaac. We know what he's going to be. He's going to play low 20s minutes. I guess there's wiggle room for like mid 20s, but like low end of that. We know we're going to get the defensive numbers. We know we're going to get the rebounds. He really has not shot well at all lately.
Yeah.
And we're still getting games where he's been able to get us 26 and 30 fantasy points. So in games where he just shoots better than what he shot, there is a ceiling, even in limited time. So
but the blocks and steals are so great here for him.
Yeah, and the rebounds have been super consistent. I mean, even with Wendell Carter back last game, 6 boards. So if shots are made, there is a legitimate ceiling for Jonathan Isaac. And then obviously just I don't have much opinion until we know more about Brooklyn, but Trent Watford just Isaac Jones obviously.
Isaac Jones is getting a lot of ownership love tonight. He played 21 minutes. He is 3K. He had 15 fantasy points in 21 minutes against Minnesota. Just another possible play. I don't think of the 3K players, he's someone that I would be looking to play, but do you have a difference of opinion?
No, I mean, especially like I'm pretty certain his ownership goes away if any of the Brooklyn 3K starters are in the lineup. I'm pretty sure his ownership would just evaporate. I get it. 21 minutes was fine. Production, even at the price, was fine. But it's just not something that like would we play him if like you could only play one? If Tyrese Martin's starting, would you play him or Tyrese Martin, or would you play him or over Jacoby Walter if there's like unless Isaac Jones was starting, which I don't foresee.
Wouldn't see a path to, yeah.
Then yeah, I would probably not get in there.
All right, center AD, LeBron's there, Sabonis, Bam and Vuk are up there as your top overall price center eligible plays. We did have a question in the mid tier. We'll get to that in a second for Richard. Sabonis is a favorite of ours this morning. You mentioned AD obviously as a top overall spend up. Is it just a price point thing for you?
Yeah, honestly, like you can either one of them are great. If you want to get to them, I think that this mid tier is the direction that I personally am going to take. I think there's a lot of elite plays there where that means I can spend up at point guard and guard because I want to play 2 of them, and get an elite center in the mid tier. But if you want to get to AD or if you want to get to Sabonis, I mean, both guys have 70-point ceilings. So Sabonis can give you a 20-point triple-double. AD can go 30, 15, 4 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals, and you're like, oh, wow, needed that to win a tournament. So and the Lakers, reigning, defending in-season tournament champions are on the brink of elimination here. So they can also knock OKC out if they beat them on their home floor. They've obviously looked better offensively with Dalton Connect in the lineup. So this game, which could be more competitive than, they went on a little skid, 3-point spread. Lakers getting 3 points, 230 implied points. Like AD is very live to break the slate. I know Hartenstein is like super good defensively, but he's also foul happy, and AD can put anybody in a blender. And then, like we said, Sabonis has infinite, triple-double upside.
Here we go. Jalen Wilson is in. Claxton is
also in. We're just going to get all of them
They're all just going to play. Every single one of them. They're all just going to be in. Everything you're worried about, not going to be an issue probably here. Let's see. Nets beat writers.
That's what I'm doing. That's exactly.
Let's see.
All I see is the same two that
Those are the only two that I see so far.
nothing reported on Cam Johnson, which of course is, very important as well. No Cam Johnson yet. Yeah, I don't see anything.
How do you have that news but not the news for everybody else?
for Cam J? We just don't know the Cam Johnson news, right?
I mean, I guess it's good to see that those are two guys that are in. They're not going to be as bare bone potentially as we expected, but we'll get more as it comes across here. All right, so we got Zubac, Rudy question for Richard. We also had a Hartenstein question. We mentioned the mid tier. Pirtle, Porzingis, Hartenstein, Zubac, Ayton, Turner, Gobert, all right here in the 7 and 6K range.
So I think there's legitimate paths for all of them, right? We can answer the questions first. I would say Zubats over Rudy, and then we could talk Hartenstein. I mean, he's been exactly what they had hoped for, and I think probably more than that. 29 plus minutes right out of the gate, double-digit rebounds, double-digit points in every game. The assist, he is a super skilled passer, super good blocks and steals guy too. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a steal yet. I expect that to change. 80 is really good, but if Hartenstein can stay out of foul trouble or just navigate the fouls, he has a massive ceiling at 68. So I think he's really safe and has a good ceiling as well. But I don't even know if I like any of them more than I like Ayton and Turner. I think Ayton and Turner of the two are my favorite mid-tier plays. When you look at Portland, they're obviously shorthanded to begin with. I mean, just removing Jeremy Grant from the equation. But then you remove Robert Williams, who's still in concussion protocol. He's doubtful. You remove Clingan. They don't have really viable center options. And you saw Ayton, after missing 2.5 weeks, come back, play 34 minutes. He was super great on both ends of the floor, at least statistically. And we say this all the time about Sabonis. He is just not a very good defender. He's also a very foul-happy guy. And, in the scenario that Portland can advance, there's very slim chance that they do advance, but they're still live to advance in the in-season tournament. They're going to play Ayton big minutes. So 6,600 for Ayton is, I sent you my roster construction earlier, and he is currently in my build personally. And then on the Turner front, just another pacer that played 38 minutes last game. I mean, they just played their starters all the minutes. The Pacers need the Magic to lose tonight in order to have a chance at the in-season tournament, because the Knicks ended up beating the Hornets. They needed one of the Magic or the Knicks to lose to have a chance. And you remember the Pacers were also in the in-season tournament final last year. So I expect Miles Turner to play near 40 minutes again tonight, just with how Indiana's rotation has been. So I like all those guys, we talked about, or that were mentioned in the chat: Hartenstein, Zubats, and Rudy Gobert. They're all fine. I just don't know if I'd rank them ahead of Ayton or Miles Turner tonight personally. But I think this mid-tier, presents a ton of opportunity. If you're building multiple lineups, you could just build lineups and shift in centers, right? Just literally alternate, because I think they're all great.
Yep, I agree with you. Working our way down. I mean, obviously you like the mid-tier there. Is there a value center or two that you have any interest in?
There's not. I don't think there's a singular one. I think Goga would maybe be it, because they started him at power forward alongside Wendell Carter. But even then, I'm not totally sold on Goga. He was great the other day, but I don't. Trenton Watford, maybe, but we talked about power forward. But now there's Claxton in, so there's not anything that I'd even really entertain.
Okay.
I don't think Carter's going to play enough minutes. We saw Mo Wagner cut down to 18 after 26 and 28. I'm not saying he can't get there, but it's just not somewhere I'm going.
All righty. Let's get a lineup built then. Where do you want to start things off here?
Probably just Walter. Walter, Fox, Avdia, probably the three.
Fox, Walter, Dia. All right, and you mentioned Ayton as your center here.
Yeah.
Okay. Where else do you want to go? Power forward then. Let's see. Go Jaylen Williams.
Yeah, we could go J-Dub.
Can we get Jaylen Williams in there?
I think it's, I mean, like you see, like without that like true spend up tonight, you can easily do this. So I like this.
Okay. 5,500 a play, guard, forward, and utility remaining.
You want to go Scoot?
Sure.
And if like we'll go Scoot until we
have to pivot to like Simmons or something like that.
Yeah, or Monk at 54.
Monk.
I think Malik Monk is a great play at 54.
Okay.
And we'll have like 60 something for a forward, which it's actually a terrible range.
64 for a forward. And Mathurin just fits the line.
Yeah, Mathurin just slides in there. I would say just for my sake, switch him and Avdia. Just for
the late swap.
I'm a say, I'm crazy.
Yeah. Avdia. All right, so our number one spend up then is Fox. We got Fox, Walter, Mathurin, Jaylen Williams, DeAndre Ayton, Scoot Henderson, Denny Avdia, and Malik Monk. Two guys up over $9,000 for the slate. Again, we'll have to pivot out of Scoot if he ends up being ruled out, but there's some options for us with the late slate exposure that we got going on here. We appreciate each and everyone tuning in. Again, it's Black Friday. We got our Black Friday sale going on right now. You can scan that QR code, fantasystorm.com/Black Friday. Promo code BF24 to save $100 off your annual subscription. That is good for a year at less than $16 a month. Our monthly subscription costs $39.97. So you're getting a massive, massive discount if you sign up for the year to get access to all of our content over at Fantasy Alarm. And again, it runs out next year around Black Friday. We run Black Friday deals every year. So right now is the best time to sign up for our annual subscription. Grande and I will be back on Monday. Everybody, good luck with your weekend and Friday night lineups. We'll chat you in the Discord.